Hi there, it's Mrs. Smith here from Pimpama State Secondary College. Some of you might be wondering what it's like to be as part of our STEM Academy here at school, and I thought I'd take you through one of the pracs that we did last term with the Year 8s. Year 8 were looking at cells and body systems, and we were looking at the difference between plant and animal cells and the difference between plant body systems and animal body systems, and we thought to ourselves, how are we similar to plants? Some of you might not know that plants actually have organs. So what I thought we'll do a quick flower dissection for you today, and we can have a look at the plant reproductive system. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to have a look at some of the different flowers, and you can see here with this gerbera, and a lily one's a really great one for us to have a look at. I'm just going to take the flower off there. And you can see inside we've got some things that are quite common, and these are our petals. And then some of the fuzzy stuff on the inside that you might be familiar with you can see inside here, which is quite common for all plants. So what I want us to think is, what does looking at these flowers make you wonder? So in STEM, we like to ask a question, and then we like to use that question to guide our inquiry. So you might be wondering, why are petals so colourful? Why is it that we do have this fuzzy stuff on the inside? How do we get seeds from here? All these are the sort of questions that we would be asking in the STEM program, and then we would guide our experiment from there. But what we're going to do is we're going to cut one of these things open, and we're going to have a look on the inside. So the first thing we're going to be looking at with our flowers is having a look at the petals. And one of your wonder questions might have been, why do we have these sort of track marks on the inside here, and why are petals so colourful? Now, the whole purpose of having bright colourful petals is to try and attract insects, and insects are one of our really great pollinators that we can then help our plants to reproduce. Okay, so now let's cut her open. So I'm just going to remove these leaves just to get them out of the way. And what we're going to do is we're going to get our scalpel, and we're going to be very careful, and we're going to pull off some of these petals and have a look at what's going on the inside. Now, the first thing that you are probably very clear and you can see is this thing here, and let me pull one of these off. Now, this bit at the top here where you'll see some of the pollen, and if any of you have ever been given lilies before, these things often fall off and stain your carpet, which is why I've got my gloves on today. And this thing here is called the anther, and then underneath that we've got the filament. And these things combine to form the male reproductive system on the plant. Together we call these things the stamen. Okay, so let's see the male part. Now let's see if we can find any of the female reproductive organs in here. Okay, so we'll just pull a few of these off. Okay, and if you're having a closer look, on the centre here, you'll notice that you've got this main bit that's coming up through the centre here. Now this little bit at the top is quite sticky, so if you touch that with your finger, you can often see a little bit of slime coming off there. Well, it's not really slime, but it's a little bit sticky. And you might be thinking, why is it sticky like that? Okay, we'll have a look at that in a second. Now this bit at the top here is called the stigma, and then this long part here is the style, and down here you've got the ovary. So very similar to the female reproductive system where you've got the ovary. Now let's cut it open and let's see what's on the inside. So we'll pull that off. We might need to cut that out. There we go, beautiful. And just move that to the side. Okay, so we've got our petals. Okay, and let's cut it open. So very carefully with the scalpel, we're going to cut it open. And hopefully on the inside we might be able to see some of the female reproductive cells, the ovules. Unfortunately, this one doesn't seem to have any on the inside there. But generally what you might be able to find, if we're very lucky, I might just try and cut into that green bit there. You might be able to see some of the female reproductive cells. No, unfortunately this one doesn't have anything in there. I'll just try a little bit more. No, we don't have any of the ovules in this one, but that's okay. So what generally happens is we've got the anther, and that one then goes, the pollen that's coming on here, the insects generally brush up against that, and then as they're trying to go into the flower, the pollen ends up getting attached here to the stigma. Then what happens is that then travels down here into your into the ovary, and then it helps to pollinate in here, and then you start to get the reproductive cycle happening. So that's the lily flower, which is really great one to have a look at. And if you're lucky enough to have a microscope at home, you might like to put one of these flowers under the microscope, or one of the parts of the flower under a microscope, and then you can actually have a look at one of those under the microscope. Thank you so much for watching.